Welcome to the Blaine County Board of Commissioners, Monday, June 17th meeting. If you please stand, Mr. Warren Hill from Bethel Church will lead us in prayer, and Mr. Greg Mark will do the pledge of allegiance.
Will you pray with me, please? Father, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for the honor to be able to stand here and pray for our county commissioners tonight, Lord, and the work that they will take on tonight. I just pray for them each individually. Pray that you all give them knowledge, wisdom, discernment, and understanding, Lord, and that you would just lead, guide, and direct them. And those that will make presentations tonight, I pray for them also. And Lord, that it will just be handled the way you would have it be. And we thank you so much for them and for their service tonight, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Warren, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you for having pray for us. And tonight, Ms. Ashley Trivett is excused from the meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the
Second.
Of two of those minutes, can I just ask clarification on Mr. Martin just brought me a copy on the minutes where, he gave me a copy of the rules and procedures for Blaine County Board of Commissioners. And one of my only clarification I asked him for was that on last week, on our meeting, I walked out in lieu of listening or to hearing comments that, like Mr. Chair, you already had votes for doing it, for an action. So, and after walking out, I was considered as in favor of one of the actions. The others I did vote. And so, I was gonna ask, Mr. Martin gave the statement, read it this for me, but I would like to ask our attorney for the same thing, because the ruling or the comments by the full accurate minutes by the government, for the local government, and it's Trey Allen, he's the same one who wrote this article. Can you clarify for those who walk out of meetings before a vote was given?
Well, I mean, per the rules of procedure, that section 10I, I mean, it does state that if they're not excused, then if the member's not excused from the meeting, then their vote is considered affirmative. And that's what I have, which is what you have.
And
Dr. Jones. I mean, it states.
And I think maybe that's where it is then. 10-9 says you could postpone a certain time or day. Then it says 10, rule 10, but I think Mr. Martin came with, that's what you're referring to, 10I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That last sentence there where it says, right there on 10I, the rules of procedure, in all other cases of failure to vote by a member who was physically present in the meeting, which the meeting has occurred, and my understanding is that, you know, when you walked out, and then it states who has withdrawn, which would be in that situation, without being excused by a majority vote of the remaining members present, shall be recorded as an affirmative vote.
That is 10 what now?
It's 10.
Last bullet under 10, the last, right before.
Yeah, right before 11.
11I.
10I is the provision there.
Yes,
Is that on the rules of the board?
yes, sir. It's right, it's the sentence right above Rule 11. If you turn to Rule 11, it's the sentence directly, but the last sentence in the paragraph directly above that, which is the top of near the top of the page.
Well, can I say something, John?
Sure.
When I called up this morning, I talked with Trey Allen. Trey Allen. That's what I talked to this morning. And he was reading this statute that we was talking about, 153A/43. And I called him in reference to that statute. And he said that statute applied where people who had to follow that guideline were in municipalities, not governing through constitution from state legislature for county commissioners. And I asked them, I said, well, if they're counting me to be present and I left a meeting, the statute says if I left and caused it not to be a quorum or a majority, at that point in time, my vote, you could get the police by statute to bring me back to that meeting to vote either one way or the other if I reduced it, the quorum or the majority. By law, the statute said you have the sheriff to bring me back to the meeting. But if there was a quorum present or a majority, from what Craig told me now, that as long as that existed, my vote would determine one way or the other. So it wasn't any significance in me voting because it wouldn't determine either way. And the statute did not require for me to vote unless I broke the majority or broke the quorum, because I would be stopping the business of the board. Then I called Attorney Leslie Johnson and had him to call Craig Allen. And he confirmed the same thing, that that was a rules and procedure with how did it happen. Then I called an attorney from Charlotte and I asked him the same thing. He said the quorum and majority is the same thing. It's just a way of saying it. A quorum means you got enough to do it. A majority means you got enough to win it. He said, so my vote wouldn't affect it either way, so I did not have to vote on that. And my vote didn't even be counted because it wouldn't affect the outcome one way or the other. So I would like for the minutes to, my name vote to be removed. And if we need to, let the attorney research it and come back to me with something more concrete than what we got. Because I'm not accepting that piece of it.
Mr. Martin?
Mr. Chairman, what Mr. Cardell said is, to an extent, is our understanding as well. There is no statute on the county side that governs this. There is on the municipal side for cities. However, because the board has its rules of procedure for you all that addresses this matter, then that is what the board has indicated that it wishes to follow. How this, the procedure that the board has indicated it wishes to follow in manner such as this. And so that's why there's no statute referenced in the meeting minutes by the clerk, but the rules of procedure of the board are referenced. So that's the only reason it's been addressed that way. But however the board wants to deal with it, it's fine, but I just want you to understand where we were coming from.
Well, I hope this board follows this policy, and I talked to Trey today too, and he told me the same thing you said, Mr. Cardell, except he said if you had the local policy, you followed your local policy.
Well,
That's what he told me.
the only thing I'm looking at, and I talked with, he said the statute, and I was reading the North Carolina statute, and that's what made him referring to was the statute as to what was required by law. If you did, his thing was that the legal issue becomes, if I broke that quorum, where it was not enough to handle the business of the county, then at that point in time, I was in violation, but you had a quorum in the meeting. That wasn't the issue. What I'm saying, he said that wasn't the issue. It was a quorum there. I called John from Charlotte, the attorney, from Charlotte Mecklenburg. He said the same thing. He said this guy just leave off time. And they got the same thing with in municipalities and stuff, where you can come in. But if you have a quorum, you have not interfered with the business of the county. That's what he said to me now. So I just,
What you're saying is absolutely correct, but what you're leaving out is if this board of commissioner has a local governing board, the local governing board is what you follow. And that's what Mr. Martin is trying to explain to you. We have a policy that says if you get up and walk out, what happens? This is our bylaws as a local governing board.
well,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just got one question. This I that we were referring to, does it contradict any North Carolina state statute?
I don't know, but I mean, it's what we adopted.
I understand that.
Mr. Chairman, as Mr. Cardell indicated, there's no statute on the county side that addresses this specific issue. However, there is on the municipal side. The wording in the county's rules of procedure mirrors the wording in the statute for municipalities.
All right, thank you, sir.
yeah. But that was my only thing, was I'm not trying to make an issue, but I'm trying to figure out if I'm voting, if I got right now and left out because I was sick, you're gonna tell me I'm voting in the affirmative. if I walked out of the meeting and left today without any reason at all.
Mr.
But I'm
Cogdell,
just asking,
well,
what
I'm gonna answer for you.
The question.
If you get sick and you need to leave, you're supposed to ask the board, and the board votes on it, and they say, yeah, it's okay if you leave, Mr. Cogdell, and then you're excused. That's the way it's supposed to go down. That's what our policy says.
Okay.
But just to get up and walk out and not say anything,
Well,
you're considered,
what I do,
And, okay, but I said something. The reason why, when I walked out, I made it clear that since the issue had already been discussed with the committee or members prior to the scaling to the open meeting, that I had a little contempt at the fact that you're wasting my time to travel here to vote for something when you all, like you said, obviously, you already had the vote. That was my only concern. So my walkout was to demonstrate just that, my contempt.
and I have no problem. If you get up and walk out, or I get up and walk out, I mean, I choose to do that. But we have governing policies here that we're going, the chairman and I hope the board is going to follow. And the local board says when you get up and not excused, it's a yes vote.
when I talked with the gentleman told me this, he said, you can create a statute, a policy in your board. He said, but to define the statute is one thing. But if you wanted to contest this, so I'll just call Josh Stein's office and talk with him about this, because he said, anytime that a statute does not hold something to a point, by law, you can't be legally held to it either.
There's no, the statute you're talking about is for towns. It's not talking about county commissioners.
No, 153C talks about county boards and commissions also.
Well, my understanding
It
is.
talks about both of them.
municipalities.
It talks about both of them. It's
Well,
on there with both of them.
okay, we're gonna approve the consent items, and we can vote for it or against it, and if you want to get legal, take legal action, take legal
Well,
action.
well,
I don't know what else to tell you.
Before could I ask this to be done, if it would be possible? Could I have that one on the seventh, that 1 minute, pulled from the agenda until the next board meeting? And if it's verified through the attorney, I have no conflict with it.
You can make a motion, and if you get the majority of the vote to remove it,
That's
we
all.
can remove it.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. I'd
So
rather make a
it's your motion to remove item D until next meeting. Is that your motion?
The one on
Is there a
seven.
second? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cogdell, second by Dr. Opie Goins to remove item D. Any discussion?
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
This is only to the next meeting, till we get further
Yeah, just
clarification.
Right.
Correct.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Well, I give you what the board, Blaine County Board of Commissioners bylaw is and what the governing board says that we're supposed to follow. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. No. Show of hands, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Did you raise yours?
Yeah, just pull that one out.
Did you get that, Mr. Ray?
Charles Raymond, too.
Was it 5 or 4?
It was six of them.
Six to two. Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll approve the consent items with the removal of item D.
I'll motion that
You
we,
did already.
Oh, let me back up. The remote participation, I should have, that's not a problem now.
no, no.
Okay, so 2A, we don't have to deal with, okay?
When we do the commission meeting, Madam Henry, then I bring that issue back up. Would that be a problem?
We're gonna talk about it at a later date, if that's okay, unless you wanna talk about it tonight.
Okay, no, we'll do it, you can schedule something.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it a little bit later.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, do you need a motion to remove item, A, 2A? Do you need a motion for that? Okay.
Motion table. Make it right.
Make a motion, Dave.
Second by
Second.
motion by Mr. Cogdell, second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? We're just gonna table it to the next meeting, Mr. Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's the clean way to do it, thank you. Approve the consent items with item, D removed or tabled or removed to the next meeting. Is there a motion to approve the consent item?
So moved.
Mr. Cogdell,
Second.
second by Dr. Opie Goins. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Matters of interest to commissioners. Mr. Britt?
Mr. Peterson, I, got a couple things I'd like to discuss, and, I hope everybody has their heart right. We're in a budget processing time, and I have some concerns before we pass the budget tonight. Some things that has come up over the last 2 years, has caused some dissension, and I'm a countywide commissioner. Whether you voted for me or not, I represent you. I represent everybody in this county, and I hope you know, if you know me, I hope you know that's the way I feel, and that's the way I try to do. I got to live with what's in here, and I try to do the right thing. But at the same time, there's a lot of advice sometimes within commissioners when it comes to districts and what have you. But again, tonight, I hope we put that aside and we think about what's good for the citizens of Bladen County as a whole. And I'm one of these that if Clarkton needs something and we have more expertise in this field in Elizabethtown, I feel like Clarkton's in Bladen County. Then we need to put our efforts to help Clarkton achieve what they're trying to do. If we have more ability over here and more knowledge of what they're trying to achieve, we should assist them to achieve that. And I'm preface of that to get where I'm going with this. We've had a disastrous storm over in Kelly. We had it in Bladenburg. We had it all over this part of the state. And Kelly, in years past, had some money put within a fund to help repair their dike. And there's been some concerns there. And we're losing residents in Kelly. We've got people that's been there all their life, and they would like to make a decision to stay. And before I go any further, I would like to address this. Mr. Peterson and some of the commissioners, and as well as all of us, have been very concerned. And some are working real hard on some long-range plans, some that we can't discuss at this time, but we feel real good about it. But we have a short time that we're in right now, because we're back in storm season. We got holes in the dike, and the Kelly community is working with that. But they have some pipe issues. But what I'm here to talk to the commissioners about tonight, I have 3 major concerns, and I'm looking for support for one-time money to achieve this. And when I say this, let me explain this. This won't affect raising taxes. I won't vote to raise taxes, folks. We're in the top 10%, I think, in the state, and we've worked hard getting this budget done. We've had departments to work hard to find money, and I commend each and every one, Mr. Martin, his staff, these commissioners. You don't know how grateful we are that the people have worked hard so that we could get to this far in the budget and still give our employees in our county a raise. We work real hard to train people, and it's real easy that we lose them to another county for money. And I'm an old school person. When somebody mentioned $40,000, $45,000, $50,000, $55,000 a meeting, maybe that's a lot of money. But folks, some of these positions, that's no money. And we have to share that with our neighbors, with the education that some of these people have worked hard to get, and we're losing them to other communities. But I'm asking you tonight, and in reference to the Kelly situation, so that they can get those dikes plugged to prevent possibly more disaster this time, but we don't know what's gonna happen. But I'd like the commissioners, one of the things I'd like to ask for us to be willing for one-time money, Mr. Martin, Mr. Chairman, and the other board members, to assist them with up to the amount that they have paid in taxes, if need be, to secure those holes prior to another storm coming in, with the continuation of the commissioners and Mr. Peterson as chairman, to continue to work hard for the long-range plan. And like I said, there's a lot of things happening there. Number 2, I've been a coach in this county. I've coached minor, major, and Dixie. I pulled my wallet out to pay for lights, to coach somebody else's kid to get abused because my son should be paying versus this one, that, and y'all, you'd have to be a coach to know what I'm speaking about. But we don't have to open those wallets anymore. But our county staff has worked hard, our employees out there. They haven't added any help that I know of in years, but we've added a lot of fields and a lot of more work for some of them. But on 211, out on the bypass between Clarkton and Bladenburg going to Lumberton, there's a nice ball field out there with no lights. When you try to go practice, because these fields are youth, folks, this is our youth. When it comes to youth and senior citizens, and we're gonna have to raise taxes, and could help and assist, I would like to think every area in our county, if they're willing to put forth the effort to come up with money to help their community, to have something for their youth or their children, and if we don't have to raise the taxes and could get happiness instead of bitterness sometimes, I support that. So I would support helping get lights for that field in that area, so that's another field this county can use for the youth. And I talked to Mr. Grant Pate some about this afternoon, and I would love for us to consider doing that. And there's been a lot of dissension and the device in reference to one-time money. Also, again, this is not money that we're gonna spend every year, folks. When I say one-time money, and my recommendation would be to take it out of the fund balance, and that's not gonna cripple this county. We've done well to achieve the fund balance that we have got. But I would like for us, there's been some concern in the East Arcadia community where they've got a park down there. It was destroyed at one time. And there's been concerns about it being destroyed and whether you should take more funds to redo it. I don't know who destroyed it. I wasn't a commissioner. I don't live in East Arcadia. But I would like to think if our county park here in Bladen County and Elizabethtown got destroyed by somebody, I think we're gonna go out there and probably try to fix it. And I'm not sitting here down in our area, and I'm not sitting here promoting East Arcadia. I'm speaking from right here. And I asked the commissioners, East Arcadia, I understand, has saved money and worked hard on some grant money and has come up with money. I would ask the commissioners to consider again, to help them to fix what they've got, and they gonna mandate and control it. Now, if it gets destroyed, you know, I'm one of these, if something happens at my home or my place of business, I learn from that, and I try to prevent that happening in the future. I can't tell you what's gonna happen there, I can't tell you what's gonna happen at the Bladen County Park. But I can tell you this, my heart says we need to do these three things and try to help the people in this county with a good attitude and good support effort, because I'm gonna share something with you. This isn't my money. It's me that's supposed to help make business decisions how to spend our money. And some may say this is not a good decision. But you either vote it up or vote it down. I have to vote and say what I think's best for me. And I asked for a vote on this tonight. I asked for a vote up to $25,000 for East Arcadia. They've raised that kind of money to fix something great for their community. And I hope Tobermore would come next year and ask the same thing. I wish 210 would do the same thing. And Clarkton, because I'm gonna vote the same way. If it's benefiting our citizens and we don't have to raise your taxes with one-time money, and then we don't expect you to try to maintain it and take care of it. And I would like to do the same thing, like I said, for the people in Kelly, because I want to sit here, if a flood was to come again, I would like to hope they know that we've done what we can do, and we will continue to do more on a long-range plan. The same way with East Arcadia. And to match up to what they've done, to go up to $25,000 or $30,000. Mr. Grant Pate told me, he said he thought it would probably take $70,000 to do the lights for that 200-foot field. But if community involvement got in there, he thought it could probably be done for around $30,000. But I encourage you to look at those three numbers. We can do all three things less than $100,000. And I tell you, you know, listen, I got plenty to do at my place of business. I hadn't called not a soul up here and asked for them to support what I'm telling you tonight. I've discussed it amongst two of them. I discussed it with Mr. Good, and I discussed it with Mr. Peterson. And I told them what I had thought about, and I had prayed about it, and I mentioned it to Mr. Martin. Now, if they mentioned somebody else, then that's them. But Ray hasn't called to try to come up with a vote. That's why I want you to vote your own conscience. You vote it up or you vote it down. But my support is to do what we can to excite the citizens in our county And I think we can do it for just a little bit of money, and I don't think it will cripple us. And, that's what I have to say, and I just, ask us to vote on that tonight, Mr. Martin, before we put it in our, before we approve the budget, for one-time money to see these projects done. And there again, that's, I'm just speaking from here for myself.
Are you asking that we appropriate $100,000?
Yes. Not
Item
exceed that.
10 on the budget, we'll discuss that. There'll be further discussion at item 10. Not taking a motion right now.
But I just want you to consider that before we get to that.
That's item 10. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I have something, in regards to Ms. Barbara Tatum. She,
Going to speak, Mr. Fuller.
I know, this is what I have, is kind of in
Okay.
conjunction with, item 4 and 5. I can wait till item 5.
We're at 4 now.
Yeah, I know, I can wait till 5.
Well, I mean, go ahead, but, I mean, she signed up to speak for
Yeah, Ms.
us.
Tatum, you can come on up.
No, it's not our time.
Okay, well, I'll wait and discuss it with
Well,
her.
in interest of commissioners, we need to do it now.
Okay, I have a PowerPoint.
Are you gonna do yours?
Yeah.
I got one staff, and I'll say I'm short.
I have a PowerPoint from Ms. Tatum. She contacted me regarding the water condition at her residence. She contacted me by email on June 14th and regarding the water concerns at 115 and 133 Live Oak Methodist Church Road. This is her statement in an email that she can't drink the water, can't wash, can't cook. You all can read that. Was told to fix last Tuesday and wait until Thursday, no use, to use. She has pumped out gallons of water from her pool and has to repaint the pool. Next slide. This is a picture of the pool flooring. Next slide. This is a picture of the flooring and the wall of the pool. Next. This is a backyard view of the pool when it's full of water, according to Ms. Tatum. This is the second backyard view of the pool. This is a close-up view of the water that she has had in her area. At the back, that's a close-up view of the bad water. Next slide. She said that as of June the 17th, today, the water has been okay. This weekend, the water department needs to be more transparent of notification of water problems to the community when major problems arise. 16 days of dealing with the situation now, no offer of bottled water, and I hope I'm not going to have to. What she's saying there is that she was concerned about having to repay the cost of pumping out her pool, and it might run up to $200 to redo her pool as far as water is concerned. Next slide. And in here she said that, please understand, I did not fill the pool with brown water. It came out the whole light green day one, and the third day it turned brown before it reached the skimmer. Mr. McClure, she said, I think she's talking about Kip. Clear for me to fill the pool June 7th, tested water by Parnell Pool, and they wouldn't give her a copy of the testing. So they found levels of copper in her water. But she's looking for some regard, in regards to her water bill, so she's looking for some assistance with that for next month. That's it, I believe.
Okay. Mr. Cogdell?
Only thing, Mr. Chairman, that I was wanting to know if we could do as a commission, and I don't like coming into board meetings and dealing with things that I don't foresee sometimes, and don't have prior notice to them, like something that's new. I was wondering if it's not an emergency, if we gonna do some new type of, do some new procedure, something, bring something to life, that we take a, maybe when you do it, Mr. Chairman, kind of look at schedule one meeting and not to the next meeting, so we could have a chance of something like the thing with remote participation or something, anything that comes up that's a new type of.
Mr. Cogdell, that was on there. Let me tell you the story. Ms. Trivett requested to be on a conference call. Well, it takes board approval, if I ain't mistaken, to do that. That's the only reason the item was on there. We do not have a policy. We're gonna look at creating a policy. But it wasn't on there. It was on there because the board has to vote whether you let her participate or not in a remote control area.
Okay. 'Cause that-
But that's the reason it's on there.
But what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, maybe I'm putting it wrong. Let's look at maybe once a meeting, once a month or every 2 months, look at new ideas or something. Like we had the workshop meeting we had, where we did our workout session or something like that. So we can look at new things that we want as commissioners.
Mr. Cogdell, there's a place on this agenda, and I ain't trying to yard.
Where's that?
Matters of interest to commissioners. You can bring anything you want to, and we'll ask the county manager to look at it and bring it back to us. So that is the opportunity for you to bring any new ideas or old ideas or anything you want to do. That's how we could look at it through there if it's okay. I'm confused, I mean.
No, me and you talking, Keith.
All right. Anything else?
Me and you talking.
Can I just address the one issue? Do we not have water, bottles of water?
We're not gonna answer any water questions tonight. We'll be glad to.
When we go into water bill,
We're not going, we're gonna respond in writing
oh, to her.
to her or whoever else.
But I know we have some.
Your time's coming,
But I
you
know
just
we
hold on a
have,
minute,
so she should be
please.
provided anyway.
Anyone else?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, at the last meeting, Mr. Cogdell brought it up that I sent a letter to Senator Raven, Danny Britt, Representative William Brisson, and I think I sent it to, Senator Brown.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Martin. And the letter was, I got an email saying that the quarter-cent sales tax had passed the state, another quarter-cent sales tax had passed the state, and it was going to the Senate. So I kind of felt urgency to send the thing, and I signed it. We had sent one in the past, so I called the Institute of Government after Mr. Cogdell brought it up, and they said I probably should have asked the board, because the board could have changed their mind. So I'm here to apologize. I sent that letter, and I should have asked for board permission. Mr. Cogdell, you were right. Item 5 is individual delegation wishes to address the board. Ms. Barbara Tatum.
Yes, what I want to talk to you about is, the 16 days before this happened, we had 2 weeks of milky white water. And so that's about 14 days of milky white water. Well, we were told, well, it's just bubbles. And then I've got 16 days of this. My whole community has white. So that's like 30 days of it. And if there's anybody in here that thinks that anybody in my, not just me, but anybody in my community should not pay their water bill for this past month for what we've had to deal with. Our clothes have been dirty with this stuff. Can't drink it. We've not been offered any bottled water. Can't wash with it. Can't cook with it. And I want my water clear. And I understand they've had a problem, but I don't think that my community should have to pay their water bill this past month, me or any of the rest of it, for what we've had to deal with. If there's anybody in here that thinks they should, raise your hand and I'll give you some. I got some cups and I'll give you some water right here. If any of you think that we should pay that water bill, because I don't think we should, my whole community. We weren't notified after 48 hours. I think there should be some kind of something on the website or notifying us. We were all calling each other saying, is your water messing up? Is your water messing up? And I just don't think it was held, I don't think it was done very professional.
Thank you, Ms. Barbara. Dr. O'Field.
I wasn't gonna address the water bill. I'm just saying, if it's a community, for a hurricane, we have dollars, we have bottles of water. I was just saying. And so is the water now, is it brown, still brown?
No, ma'am, it's been fixed, but every time it's been brown, we've been told to run your water even more to get back to clear water, so that's gonna make my daughter's water bill $19, her water bill was $45 a year.
But I know that's the process. When they do anything on the lines, they have to clear it.
But we shouldn't have to, our community shouldn't pay the blunt for this water problem y'all have.
Ms. Barbara, we'll get back with you, I promise. Just give us upstairs to the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Barker.
Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Luther Wright.
Mr. Luther Wright?
Yes, I wanted to talk about recreation, Granton. And I wanted to ask, has this been approved for applicants to, submit.
Let me see this right on. What it is. Greg,
It is not.
Mr. Martin can answer that.
That's right.
No, it has not been approved by this board.
If I'm clear, wasn't the deadline for applicants Friday?
Sir?
That's the application.
That's right, you can have a seat right there.
Oh, thank you.
The application deadline in there,
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yes.
it's not been approved. There's nothing, that book that means doesn't mean anything because the Board of Commissioners have not approved that policy or that procedure.
Is there a reason why it hasn't been approved?
Just hasn't come to the board.
I don't. When does it get to the board? Because it's been, I've had this for 6 months.
If I'm not mistaken, and I don't have the exact date, but it was, I think it was in April. I know it was after our meeting at the airport, because we were asked to bring it back, and, is that right, Madam Clerk?
Anything else, sir?
I've got with, money here has been approved for 2 years. Why would you take the money before allowing people to apply for recreational purposes?
We don't have a policy or guideline to distribute that money.
So what are we gonna do with the money?
We're not gonna do nothing
Because
until we get a
we have
policy.
people that actually in our community that need this money.
Well, until we get a policy, we can't do nothing. So I
Can you
reckon
give me a time when you're gonna approve this?
whenever the board wants to.
Can you give me a time when it's gonna be approved?
No, sir. I'll send, we'll get back with you on that.
But, Mr. Chair, can we, be something that we have for our next meeting or work on for the next
Whenever
month
the
or
board
so?
wishes for it to be brought back, Mr. Martin will bring it back.
Because he's right.
No one has requested to bring this to the board as I know of.
Yeah, we did.
You had requested through me.
Well, Mr. Martin said it, and we talked about it at the last meeting at,
I think it was
at the,
April.
White Lake.
It was after that we brought it,
Right.
it was at the airport. if I'm not
Right,
mistaken.
that's what it was. We did.
We'll put it back on the agenda, Mr.
Okay.
Wright.
Okay, and we also need to publish the rules, guidelines, and amount of everything for this grant,
Okay.
and we would appreciate that.
I don't even know if I've ever seen that before right now.
Well, would you like this copy?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's got some notes in it, but
That'd be better. Okay, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Marie? Okay. Item, make sure I'm right here. Item 6, entertain a motion to enter the water board.
Second.
Mr. Gooden, second by Dr. O.P. Mangold, enter the water board. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. See yourself on water board.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
No, sir.
Members of the board, I believe 6A is, or excuse me, 6B is with me. So came here tonight to give you a quick update on phase 4. And I wish I had more direct news. We're so close we can taste it. But any day now, we're expecting final well water quality results on the well that we drilled, the second test well we drilled. If you remember the last time I was before you, we talked about, we drilled a test well. It came back high in iron, and as opposed to before committing to installing a filtration system on the new well, we wanted to try a different location to see. I do feel like we have been as diligent as we can. We're waiting on folks who have very busy schedules, and I know that's not your problem, but it's taken us a while to get to this place. And as I said, any day now, we're gonna have water quality. They've been we're at the lab. I just don't have final samples to share with you. I will say there's reason for us to be cautiously optimistic that the water at this new well site will not need a filter, but I can't say that with any certainty now. So in the, frankly, within the next week, maybe 2 weeks, we can deliver a message through Greg as to the direction on this well. And the reason that's important is because the entire project is waiting on us to determine if this new well is going to need a filter system so we can then get it bid and on the streets. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to answer any questions you or the rest of the board have. We're so close. We're very, very
As soon
close.
as you get it, please send it, because I get calls every week.
I understand.
Okay. Anybody else?
That is, if we, I know we came forward a while back and did all the money appropriation and all that.
Yes, sir.
Is the money still, that money, will it handle that process, or
Yeah.
any additional funding will be needed?
Yes, so the funding for the project is approved and it is still in place. The funding does not have a sunset on it. Now, to answer the last part of your question, the funding package did have in the budget the cost of the filtration system. So in the event that I come back to you next time and we do decide that we are going to go with the well and filtered iron, all that money is in the budget. However, if we felt like it would be prudent to at least try one other test well site and see if we could avoid the cost, because a filtration system is about $300,000. And it'd be better to put those towards extending water lines in different places if we could avoid it.
Or will this still be in that phase 4?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
Be safe.
Any other questions?
Mr. Kip, item C.
Thank you, Adam. You have before you tonight, item C, which is approval of the local water supply plan for the East Bladen Water District. These are the local water supply plans or documents that we have to submit to the state every year, reporting the number of customers we have, the gallons of water we pump, the gallons of water we sell, the activities on our wells, our tanks, which all show how our system is performing. And it's a required update every year from the state. And these have all been completed by staff and submitted to the state, and they need your board approval for acceptance.
What's the pleasure, board, item C? Can't you wanna do D and E too, same thing as
You can run all three of them together.
All right.
Yeah, my other question on some of those systems, it'll ask if they have a program to work flush hydrants. Some yes and some no, why is that? They don't flush them?
We work with the fire departments on flushing our hydrants. We do hydrant flushing throughout all of the systems. But yes, the fire departments do some of those for us, and we do some of those.
Okay, so east and I think it's only one that says no, and I think that's west. It says no, monthly. The other one say yes, monthly.
Tar Heel is the only system that has no hydrants. There are no hydrants on the top.
Those are Tar Heels.
Mr. Cardell?
Mr. McClure, at one time we talked about, it's like with the water situation, you had to hook up, and you had to reroute. Do any of these systems interlock?
Yes, sir.
Oh, do they all interlock?
Well, your east and your west do not, because that would be crossing the river.
Okay.
And there are no transmission lines crossing the river. But your Tar Heel and
West Blade,
west are all connected, yes, sir.
and that area that runs out through on the 242 side of West Bladenburg, does that hook into the West Bladen part of it?
All of it's connected, yes,
So all
sir.
that is interlocked?
There are interconnects, valves that are for that whole system. Yes, sir. And that was part of what went on there with the transfer of water from the White Lake to the White Oak area.
Okay, so I entertain a motion for CD&E, which is the local water plans for East Bladen, Tar Heel, and West Bladen.
So, second.
Motion by Mr. Good, second by Mr. Cardell. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Entertain a motion to exit the water board.
So moved.
Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Good. Any discussion? I'm sorry, do you have something else?
Oh, good, thank you.
Okay. No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we out of the water board.
I'm back.
I was wondering what you were saying, well, I'm sorry. General Service Department, Kip McLaren.
All right. So we have money budgeted this this budget year for paving at the library. We accepted bids after proper advertising on May 31st for paving up the library, and those came in well under budget, which we're very grateful for. And the recommendation tonight is that we award contract to the apparent low bidder, which was Highland Paving, which they have indicated they're good with their numbers and are ready to proceed with work. Now, once this is approved, then we will schedule for the signing of the contracts, and they will present us with the required documents for proceeding with insurance coverages and that sort of stuff.
Make a
Okay.
motion to approve.
Approve A and B.
You can do both of them at the same time?
Well, I mean, they're paving the same company. You'll do A, it don't matter to me.
All person I was asking, I was gonna ask the thing.
Motion to approve,
Let's do eight.
item A by Mr. Cogdell, second by Mr. Gooden. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed?
I just want one question, is this what, the library right downtown here?
Yes, sir. All right, go straight across the street.
Oh, B, Mr. Kidd.
Yes, sir, and B, we tied in with this same bid item, even though they were bid as two separate projects. To the best numbers, we thought it'd be prudent to proceed with bidding for paving at the emergency training facility. I understand these are grant funds, am I correct? And they have, funds available for this paving project. This will redo the entrance drive going into the project. This will also do an extension on the entrance drive to the rear, to the area out behind the current buildings, and this will potentially do a small area near the chapel building for paved parking there.
Mr. President, make sure I want to kind of get the location. When we talking about location, I know they was out there recently, back, a little while back paving
Yes, sir.
behind that building.
Yes.
That was there. They were doing some
That
paving
large
there.
parking area.
Yeah, that parking area. So this is gonna come in front of that building?
From 701 up to that new paved parking area, which is the main entrance drive.
And then it's gonna come around to where?
Then extend from that paved drive back to where they're parking equipment back in there now on the left side behind the dormitory buildings.
Okay.
And then a small area right in the front, pave over to the chapel, resurface that street, and a small parking area there by the chapel.
Okay. All right.
And you said all this is covered by grant?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
To approve.
Oh,
Motion by Mr. Cogdell, second by Mr. Bullock. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Health, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Health and Human Service Agency, Terry Duncan.
Good evening.
So we have 7 policies tonight for an annual update, which includes the administrative changes, with the change health records, that has to be changed as well. So the first is internal control processes.
Sorry, I don't have one.
Oh, it's on both of them.
There was,
And it just shows
Okay.
that one thing, but it's each one.
Okay, go ahead.
new employee orientation. Third is fixed assets. Fourth, appeals policy. Fifth, fees, eligibility, and billing policy and procedure. Sixth, the environmental health, migrant housing policy. And seventh, the tattoo program policy, just moving into that tattoo policy. So we request your approval of these health department and environmental health policies.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Dr. Othman Goins. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We'll take a short recess.
About 10 minutes out of 5.